Now, in Canada, we have the jab injury fund. What is it, Dan?
Oh, yeah, okay. So, well, you got to know about this program because it's the most undermarketed, but the most for someone who's been injured in the unlikely event anyone has been injured by the jab.
And this particular jab, this is not a generic to all jabs. This is specifically set up for this one.
So that's a good question. Why didn't we have it before? Right? Quebec did. Quebec had an insurance program for ages. And so finally, the federal government got around to putting one into place. And we're all asking, why? What's the timing? December 2020. What was happening in December 2020? Well, they were signing contracts. Okay. They were signing contracts with big vaccine manufacturers. And I don't know why. I haven't figured this one out yet, but it seems like the vaccine manufacturers themselves, they're the ones that wanted the federal government to have an insurance program in place. I don't think they're big proponents of human rights. That was their motive, for wanting these insurance programs in place. But for whatever reason, there was pressure to have this program and put it into place, and it was launched in. I think Trudeau made the announcement in December 2020. Okay, that's when it started, right in response to the COVID vaccines.
I'm going to go post it in the chat, and I'm going to pin it.
People don't know about it. It's not marketed. Singapore had one, and I keep saying, they've paid out 300 claims on their program. And that was as of, I think, at the end of last year. Whereas in that same time period, Canada's paid out 5. So they have 1/7, last check, according to my info, they have 1/7 the population of Canada, and they've paid out, what's 5 versus 300? And they've paid out significantly, but like basically I calculated if we were to pay out as generously as Singapore had paid out, and they're doing the same, by the way, the same distribution of vaccine as jab companies as we have here, I believe. Same, it's the Pfizer, Moderna mix they've been doing there. So it's not AstraZeneca. And they've paid out significantly more. And when Trudeau launched this program in December 2020, the whole pitch was, we want to take care of Canadians. We want to be there for Canadians that have, that are stepping up and doing their part. In the 1 in a million chance, we want to be there for Canadians. And lo and behold, it's not quite 1 in a million. The stats are coming out now. It's more than that. What it exactly is, we don't know. The causation is a very complicated thing. I work in association with personal injury lawyers, and proving causation is tricky. It can be done, and it's going to be done, but there's a time limit. So people have to know it's 3 years, right? 3 years from the jab. You've got to get your documents in. So it's going to be very interesting. It could be a nothing burger, like they could just refuse every claim that I can't prove no causation, right? But maybe they'll be more lenient and they'll pay out like they promised.
I'm trying to find the website, the government website that has the latest stats. Health Canada.
The latest stat. Well, they're always updated. They're always sending out the new.
Yeah, I just want to get the. I want to get so we can quote the government, Dan, without problems. I'll find that in a second. But yeah,
what do you want to talk about? Like
they're talking about 5 and 10,000 serious side effects that they recognize.
It was 1 in, I think 1 in 10. Look, it depends on the age group. It depends on gender, but I think for the most part it was a ballpark 1 in 10,000. I think there's possibly more. But they haven't been able to prove much of these as of yet. They're still reviewing, so they have to review and review. And the issue is that it's a private tribunal, meaning this was sourced to a private company. You can go online. You could, like a regular company, you could search who the directors are. Like it's a regular private company in Ottawa, and we don't know what what the terms of that contract was. You're basically outsourcing a judicial, almost like a quasi-judicial service to the private sector. And I've made a freedom of information request. I want to see what that contract looks like. A business lawyer, like what are the terms there? Who's getting how does the compensation work? Do they get paid more if there's less claims? Do they get, I'm assuming the payment is steady, like you would pay a court, right? Like you don't vary the compensation based on the number of decisions it renders, right? It's hard to figure out what is the fairest way to make a contract like that, because the volume of applications, you'd think they should get more money if they're dealing with more applications, right? They've got doctors up. They've got doctors. Yep.
Captain Dan, hold on. Can you see this?
Yep.
Okay. Reported side effects following COVID in Canada. This is Government of Canada updated. We update every Friday. Last updated March 25. and I read this periodically just so that you can't get in trouble for reading the government's own website. Dan,
Yep.
Here, a total of 81 million vaccine doses administered. Adverse events have been reported in 42,000 people. That's about 5 out of 10,000.
Okay, but that's just for an adverse event. But then,
yeah, and then they say 33,000 were considered non-serious. 8,000 were considered serious.
Okay, there you go. Right, 0.011%. So if you divide,
well, that's 0.011% of all doses administered, not of all people vaccinated, I think. And to do that math, well, I'll figure that out. But okay, that's
I think on the Ontario Public Health also has their own website. The exact rate of injury. Look, it's higher for like boys 12 to 19, right? We know the myocarditis risk is much higher in that age group. And this is going into the other thing I want to talk about. This whole thing, my investigative research into safe and effective. But before we move on, the Vaccine Injury Support Program was a federal program designed to stand by Canadians who were hurt. I'm hearing lots because I field these things, but there are cases of people getting seriously hurt. I just heard today another one. It was a doctor I was speaking to. His patient died. It was an elderly patient that died after the was it the second or third dose. And again, hasn't been proven, but the temporal connection was there. It was an older patient. And I said, there's a vaccine program, and this doctor was not aware of it.
So I posted the program is pinned there. You discover this, and now are you representing people in filing claims in this?
I mean, so we're looking at that now. The issue again is going to be getting independent review of the medical decision, because you're dealing with a tribunal that's very well educated on this, and they're experts. And so to challenge these experts, who the government has retained, or the private company, I guess, has retained to review these cases, that needs to be reviewed by an independent group. And usually you have, in the court system, you have personal injury lawyers, and you have their experts that they retain. So that's where it's at. So there are a couple that have shown interest. If people are watching and they want to discuss, I'd encourage it. You can email, if you email me at lionlaw@protonmail.com. I can process
lionlaw@protonmail.com. Get ready for incoming emails, Dan.
Look, I'm not. That's I might put an auto reply just so that they know that things are very it can be take a lot of time. That email account is more also secure, I believe, because I also have my general other ways to reach me. If you go on my website, you can find it. But we're getting to a point now where because of the surveillance for these type of things, it's not so much of a concern, but surveillance now by the government is a concern. And so some people might not want, they want more email security, right? So Proton Mail is generally pretty good. So that's that on the injuries.
Have you had any responses from any claims filed? Have you had any interaction with anyone, employed by or through the fund itself?
So no, right now it's I'm at the stage of just trying to get more information on how, personal injury lawyers know how much a claim is worth. So if someone dies, we know under the under Ontario law, there's a standard a statutory compensation scheme. So I think it's $250,000 is the general cost of a life. That's if
in Ontario. Compare that to the United States, but okay.
We Canadian citizens are cheap. By U.S. standards, the value and by the way, don't get me started on that, because I think the government right now, I think they're doing some kind of weird quant on by the federal government keeping the ongoing mandates. Man, I think they're doing some weird quant. The fact that the Treasury Board is now deciding when to remove the vaccine mandates, it's not Dr. Tam. We always told it's the science, right? The science is deciding, and now Dr. Tam's like, no, now the Treasury Board is deciding when to. I'm like, what? Treasury Board? Whoa, wait. What's this? Why are they making health decisions now? Now the quant is out there. This is the Ford Pinto. It's like they're like, okay, let's see, how much does it cost for all these people that have been wrongfully terminated or in my view, okay, without just cause, okay, they're unionized now, because now the unions turned against the government, PSAC, public, I forget what it's called now. And one of the federal unions is now like, why are we doing mandates? Why are we forced the vaccine? They're not helping transmission. Dr. Tam they're not helping. So the Treasury board's like now making the calls. We're like, well, let's do the cost benefit analysis, including all the costs of settling these legal claims. Like, creepy, dude. And $250,000 a life, price has got to go up.